Welcome to the Wine of the Month Club, and I'm here with Mumbles. And
yeah, you want to why? Both my ears are messed up. I woke up the other morning about 3 weeks ago. My pillow was covered with blood.
Oh, great! That's a great way to start a wine tasting.
So that's why we're doing. Hey, this is the April selections for 2019. A little behind the eight ball here, but we are here to taste the wines with you, and I'm here with Ed Masciana, and we're going to discuss 40 years ago. I love this 40 years ago. 1979, which means we're already 7 years into the club.
That's right.
And it's still 1979. And in fact, the other day when we were talking to Michael Kalemkiarian is writing a story about my father and the history of California wine and relates to consumer wine, direct to the consumer market. Mm-hmm. And he asked me for customers that were, been around for a while.
Right, and I think that's great. I think that's your best.
And I found guys still around from 78, 79.
That's right.
A lot from the 80s.
Yep.
The hundreds of shipments they've gotten. It's
I know.
Phenomenal.
It's great. I mean,
nobody in this business can say that.
That's a real testament to the value, and I thought what I read from the beginning is it's really interesting. I mean, a lot of stuff I didn't know, especially about your dad's history in Egypt and
right.
And the whole thing. But it was kind of interesting that your dad and I kind of learned wine together. Because he bought the store in '64, and I came along in '69.
Yeah, it was around 67, 69.
Oh, was it? Was it really that late? Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's right. He started the first.
His first store was there.
Yeah, but so it's like, and he admitted, he said, I don't really know that much about wine, but by the time I got there, he being an incredibly smart guy, he read a lot and studied a lot and tasted a lot, and so he became very knowledgeable. But
you're going to find that story available. I'm going to publish the short story. I think I'm not sure yet, but it's anticipating maybe the story can be developed even further as a book of some sort. So
or I think it'd be a great documentary.
Great documentary.
But speaking of 40 years ago, and this is one of the things that just absolutely slays me. What did we do 40 years ago? 1975, Louis Martini Barbera. Okay, now, most people in 79 not only never heard of Italy making Barbera, they obviously ever heard of California.
Barbera, for sure.
And I'm thinking that may be one of the first Barberas ever produced in California. And I remember that wine. It was, of course, back then it was so cool to be in the wine business because every wine that came out, you really had to taste it. You really had to. Now you could care less because there's just too much of that
So
stuff.
my dad writes in here, the Barbera from which this wine is made is grown predominantly or principally in Piemonte, which is the northwest part of Italy, which is true. How about that for legitimate arguments?
Well, it's not an argument; it's the truth.
It's true. And the wine was a Beaumont Beaujolais Blanc.
Now that's
pretty rare too.
That was really rare. You don't see Beaujolais Blanc. I would gander that there's maybe 1% of the Beaujolais that's white, if that.
Yeah, if that much.
I mean, it's just there's nothing there.
This particular, according to him, this particular Beaujolais Blanc, which is Beaumont, was from the northern part of Beaujolais, which would put it near Mâconnais and Chablis.
That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Well, Chablis is we put it near the Mâconnais. And Macon, the Macon, yeah. And so, anyway, so that's what we did 40 years ago. What we did 70 years ago is I was just a mere tot.
Mere tot. Wake up, Ed.
Wake up, Ed.
Hey, welcome to the limited series for April 2019. Boy, we've been in the studio for quite a while now, and we are on the last leg here of tasting through the April wines, of which this limited series is no exception to the quality we've been tasting today.
These have been some really incredible wines. They usually are, but sometimes some of the wines are even better than usual. So, and I think this.
You start with a bar like this, and then you just kind of keep going up and down.
And then you jump on the bar, and then you go to the bar, and then you never come back from the bar.
And you pass the bar. Yeah. This is this Malbec, which when I bought it, I decided this would be if somebody says, what does Malbec taste like?
Oh, boy.
This is what I decided.
Well, yeah.
Tastes like this.
But only if it comes from Argentina.
What does Argentinian Malbec taste like, Ed?
It tastes like real wine. Like this. Really nice fruit.
That's the part I like.
A little cranberry. It almost has like
wasn't
like
a
Cabernet
hard
Franc.
Malbec?
Oh, those
It was
things
a
from
smooth
France
one.
are horrible. I mean, they're horrible. Cahors. perfect name for it. Horrible, exactly.
This is a great one.
I mean, I tasted one that was actually pretty good. It was 10 years old, and it cost $100 10 years ago. Okay, and I went, oh, this is pretty good, but for $100, sorry, you're out of your brain. You know, you're
You know what I like about this one? The middle's nice and firm and lean, a little bit lean, but right after the middle, before it gets to the finish, you get this fruit explosion. And this is brought into America by our friend Sebastian Bistou, who's Chilean, and they have great connections in Argentina, being just across the Andes there. And he's always bringing me some interesting wines that they find and they bring in here, and they sell to a few restaurants, and that's pretty much it. This is one of those.
$24.99 on the shelf, $15.99.
So, like, if you're in a restaurant, you say, "Oh, I'd like a glass of Malbec," which is unusual for winery. And you got this, you go, "Oh, that's really good value, right?"
Well, actually, no, that's not true, Paul. A lot of people like Malbec. I know a lot of people that when you say Malbec, oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite red grapes. I mean, people know what it is now. I mean, 20 years ago, no, but now they do. I mean, now it's very, very popular.
In fact, speaking of that, this guy here, Villefonte, I was tasting his wines. They're South African here a few months ago. And I told him, this wine needs to be at Arthur J's in Manhattan Beach, the steakhouse, which is a hip steakhouse. He goes, it already is.
That's funny.
South African Cabernet. Now this list,
that's very funny.
You know, you've been on the restaurant side of the list, right? I told the Somm, I said, you know, you must have 75 vendors to do this list. He goes, no, I have 100.
Oh, God, that's incredible.
Is that how hard that is?
But yeah, I know how hard it is. Don't forget, you know, I ran a couple of wine stores and some restaurants, wine lists.
That's this one. You got the wrong one.
Oh, this is the Ventoux. The Ventoux's next.
No, there's two Ventoux.
Oh, there are two Ventouxs. Oh, two Ventoux.
That's the Prestige?
Okay, fine. Okay, we'll do the Prestige.
So we go to the restaurant. We happened to go the other night when we were down the beach, and I was desperately looking for Villefonte wines on the list. I couldn't find it. And then I go, wait a minute. And Santa goes, what's this? And it said, Seriously Old Dirt. That was the name of the wine. And I go, that's it. I go, that's the wine. I remember tasting it.
That's funny.
It's so good. And I told the Somm, I said, he goes, we sell a lot of this. People see the name and they want to taste it because it has none of that creosote South African Cabernet.
Right.
It's very smooth Cabernet. Right,
okay, I got to say something right now. I don't like Côte de Ventoux. Côte de Ventoux, there's the big appellation in the Southern Rhone is Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Without question, great wine. Really great wine. The next level down, but it's really not down in quality, just in price, and they're very, very similar, is Gigondas. Then you have these lesser villages like Ventoux and other Côte and whatnot. And the reason why I don't like most of these wines is because they have too much of that grape, Carignan, that I can't stand.
Yeah, that's the one you don't like.
You know, unless it's from 100-year-old wines. And then it tastes really good. And this either has no Carignan or they're 100-year-old wines because I get none of that kind of animal smell that I don't like.
It's 70% Syrah and 30% Grenache. But I love the aged nose. It's 2013.
Yeah, but you see now...
The color's great, too.
The color's gorgeous. I mean, But I remember tasting Ventouxs with your dad, and your dad liked Ventoux, and I couldn't stand them because they had all that Carignan in there, and little by little they're getting rid of. As the Carignan vines die off, they don't replace them. They plant Grenache and
the problem with Ventoux is it's used to be at cost plus for $2.49 under the La Vie Ferme label, and that stuff was just thin, acidic, and hard to drink. I'm fascinated by this.
No, it's delicious. It's absolutely
delicious.
It's a
2013, but it's got a ton of fruit, and it's got character coming out of its cuckoo.
$22.98 on the shelf, $15.99, and I'm at a 95 with that. I mean, you know, and this is a wine that you really are going to have to sit on for a while too. It's going to reward you. You could wait 10 years on this wine, and it's just going to get better because it's got the backbone of acidity and tannin to last.
Now here's another Ventoux, which is actually the same winery. It's just a different plot, different blend,
different rock.
Now these wines, folks, came from another club. Up front, transparent about this.
Very different nose, amazing.
A great club that bought really well. They knew what they were doing, but
they knew how to buy. They just didn't know how to sell.
The namesake of the club. They never got started. They ordered all the wines, brought them into America. They sourced them. They find beautiful wines like this. And then the guy that was the name, I'm not going to tell you what it was, the namesake, a major chef in America, got busted by the Me Too group, shut down everything. Even his restaurants in Vegas, done, finished. And we are the lucky recipients, or you are, of the wines they chose for his club.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they weren't going to sell this for $22.98.
What's the vintage of this one? This one's missing a back label.
2013, and it says right there. So, but this is a big wine too. This could. I've never tasted Ventoux like this. This is definitely phenomenal stuff.
This does not taste like a 2013.
Well, no, it's still young as hell,
vibrant as hell. But you're right, totally different. Same maker, same district.
Well,
different different designation by them. So this is the Prestige, and this is the Tradition.
Well, it's probably different parts of the vineyard, and that makes a difference.
It's bottled by them right at their property. Mm-hmm. This is a nice 7. I actually like it a little better than the other one.
I think they're both really great wines, and they both need a lot of time to mature. But then again, so do you. So I mean, we'll just leave it at that.
Now I'm excited to present this rosé.
The rosé.
Domaine Cala, which is outside of Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, speaking of famous chefs.
Yes, exactly. This is the brainstorm and property of Joachim Spichel
of the Patina Group and Patina Restaurant in L.A., which is at the Disney Hall.
There's more like 65 restaurants.
Well, that's the Patina Group, but he still runs the Patina.
He runs the whole thing.
He runs the whole thing?
Yeah, he runs the wine part of the whole thing. He's not part of the operations anymore because he's sold it twice already. I'm expecting him to come in here for a podcast. That'd
be great.
Committed to that. But this is...
Tell him to bring his wife, Christine. Yeah. She's gorgeous. Anyway.
Look at the nose is intoxicating.
Absolutely delicious wine. I mean, this is really stunning. And I believe this is Grenache. It doesn't say wine type. Rosé Provence wine. Yes, thank you very much.
And he's building guest quarters. That's the most important part.
He can afford it.
I did not taste the reserve yet. It's downstairs, but I thought this was just really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got fruit. It's got balance. It's got acid.
Really. I'm at a 98 on this.
Yeah,
one.
for me, that's a 99 for me.
Wow.
The nose. It's really the nose is
$22.98 for a wine that's got Joachim Spichel's name on it is fairly reasonable. $18.99 or $13.99 is
that's a bargain.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that's
another stupid wine. Stupid price. We like
it's $18.99.
$18.99.
Albarino's $13.99.
Oh, so it's not consistent pricing anymore.
Do I have to get a big sign for you?
Well, a bigger one.
Well, the reason is there's no discounts. I mean, $18.99 is a great price because Wine Warehouse, who sells this for him, does not offer any discounts.
I see.
On any quantities.
Ever.
So I can't pass anything through, as much through. 98.
Albarino.
Another one of Ed's favorite grapes when it comes through wines from different parts of the world, and this one's Spanish. But which part of Spain? Is it
the Rías Baixas.
Oh, Rías Baixas, up north?
Up in the northwest, right above Portugal. I was a funny story. I was talking to a winemaker. I forgot his name, and he was saying something about Albarino, and because he had an Albarino, and I said, "This is really good Albarino." Yeah, well, he brought in the first cuttings of Albarino in the United States in 1995.
Who said this?
This guy I was talking to. I don't remember his name. I said, no, actually he didn't. It was Brian Babcock who brought him in 93. He said, oh yeah, you're right. He did mention Brian Babcock.
Okay, that's funny. And you guys have had some of Brian's wines with the Solstruck and the Babcock brand.
Yeah, yeah.
So this, I mean, if I'm going to tell people, and this, I've always talked about Italian white indigenous varietals are fascinating. The flavors that we get out of them.
Fabulous.
This portrays exactly the same concept. You can't say it's Sauvignon Blanc. You can't say it tastes like Chardonnay. You can't say it tastes like something.
No, it's Albarino.
It's by
period.
itself.
The end. There is nothing else that tastes like this. It's absolutely delicious.
So here's the problem I have.
You have a problem? You got a problem with that?
You go to a restaurant that has it on the house port, and I want to get them. Right? I want to order them.
Right.
My mother-in-law says I know what she likes. She would like it. But I'm afraid, A, not a people have ordered, so the bottle's not going to be fresh. And B,
open another bottle.
There's a lot of cheap Albarino that doesn't taste so great.
That's true. That's true. But you're in the wine business, and you should know the cheap ones from the expensive ones. Usually the price will tell you that.
I'm just worried that the som at the restaurants aren't doing a good job of really bringing up an Albarino that has
Stop calling
character.
them somms for crying out loud. They're just servers. You know, that's
No.
what they do. They're servers.
It's actually the other way around.
They're
The
salespeople.
sommelier concept is really about restaurant service, right?
Well,
it's not about the degrees.
No, of
typically,
course not.
it's about the restaurant service.
It's about the service. You know, as long as it's not too pedantic, and they know what they're talking about. Actually, $22.99 for this wine as it sits is fabulous. $13.99 is another stupid
So,
price.
like, if I go to a restaurant and they say we have the Porta de Rías, Albarino, I'll get a glass of that. Now,
Absolutely.
on the other hand,
Something that's
that
gonna
wonderful
cost you
couple that came here about 5 years ago,
Yeah.
and they had a beautiful Rías Baixas Albarino as well as the Menthia, the red.
Oh yeah.
And they asked me for opinion on how to do this. I said, don't just bring in the minimal, have somebody store it for you.
Yeah. You told
What did they do? They went off and got their wholesale license. They got a storage. They bought it at a warehouse. They brought in 600 cases of Albarino.
Sure. And it's still there. They still got it.
And they kept coming back. We need your help. We need help. And all of a sudden, it's like, it went from there. I'm sure they lost money eventually, huh? Because you can't sell 600 cases of Albarino in California. But this is a great version of it. Hey, that's the limited series for
I'm at a 90.
April.
I'm at a 99 with this. I think it's one of the best I've ever tasted. Okay, and the limited series is now in the books for April 2019.